Hey guys, Friends Gamer here, and welcome back to another episode of a Wizard101 video. Today I'm actually going to talk to you guys about turn-based PvP, what I like, what I don't like about turn-based PvP. But basically, so far my experience in tournaments haven't been good at all, like ever since the 4th age started, so I'm a little bit salty. Not to mention my teammate here, as you can see, actually left being AFK because of a swimming thing or so, like with family. And I understand, like, you know, if you're AFK and if you have to go AFK and all, but like, you know, again, you have to remember tournaments take a pretty good load of time, and really someone could get pretty pissed off because of the fact that you're just wasting someone's time. Now, like, you know, dude, like, you could have at least not done the tournament at all. But he's still a cool guy, like, honestly, like, I can't blame him for it. It does happen. If it did happen all of a sudden, I understand. But if there was always plans for it, like, again, you should always remember that you shouldn't really be doing stuff like that, because it does really affect the person playing and all stuff like that. So basically, before I start rambling on, I'm basically going to show you guys the tournament, how, like, only one round of the tournament that we did together. We did do one against Jades, which was terrible because we couldn't really do much about him. But in this one particularly, it's the last round. He finally comes back and we finally do pretty well together, and I'm gonna show you that match and how well it went, and then afterwards I'll talk to you guys about the turn-based PvP stuff, what I like and what I don't like about it. So without further ado, just enjoy the PvP video, and then afterwards I'll come back later. So yeah, peace.
Couple stacks, yo. Woo! Everybody wanna do the same thing, yo. That's why we ain't on the same page. Do my own thing, and I maintain. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah, I'm going mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. I'm going mainstream. Mainstream. Flow like water, so I'm going mainstream. Yeah.
Hey guys, so I basically came back from, you know, the PvP tournament and all. So we got 11th place, and while I didn't really have a great experience in turn-based PvP, I do have somewhat of an idea of what exactly could be and potentially be. I think, in my opinion, turn-based PvP is fine, it's fun, and it does seem to defeat some purposes of, like, you know, the negatives. But to give you guys a full analysis of what I think about turn-based PvP, here's what I'm going to give you. So here's what I like about turn-based PvP. So number one is that it's easier to counter certain spells or strategies. So in this situation, I'm talking about spells like Burning Rampage and like Lore Master Spam or so. These strategies are overused so much. They can actually be easily countered. For example, Burning Rampage, now you have more of a chance to actually you know, either shift it off or triage it. It gives you more of that good advantage to just remove certain, like, strategies like Burning Rampage, which really, like, before then, it gives a Fire Wizard such a huge advantage if they were first or so. But since turn-based actually kind of defeats the purpose of going first to win, it basically allows you to have more of a chance to counter spells like that easier. Spam. Number two is that I like the fact that it actually removes the advantage of overused strategies. This basically is what I said with number one, with like Lore Master Spam and all that. It basically removes certain overused strategies because of the fact that, you know, the way it works is that not only is it just like, you know, the person who goes the first turn for this person, and then after it the other person, it, like, not only does it decide which person goes first in the turn, but it also gives the person who's going with the turn gain the pips required to use certain spells. And then afterwards, the other person then gains their own pips to do certain spells and strategies and any counters. So really, it does somewhat defeat the purpose of overused strategies to have a huge advantage when going first or second. And I actually really do like it. I actually really do like it this way. Number 3, it allows certain spells that aren't normally used to become more usable. Now, with this, I'm talking on spells like, for example, if you want to look at myth spells right here, we're talking about spells like Shift, which I have it in my deck, but I want to show it like in a bigger picture. So spells like Shift, where basically, if you're first, that's a good spell to use if you're first. If you're second, it doesn't really seem to have a good use, because for one, it's 4 pips. It's like 2 power pips. You only have 7 pips in total that you can hold, so that's up to like 14 pips. It's very risky to use Shift if it was like a first and second situation, because of the fact that, you know, let's say someone doesn't use an overtime or uses a weaker overtime. And then again, this is like talking about in Burning Rampage as an example. It actually allows you to actually use it without having to deal much with risk of just messing up on the strategy that could have basically won you the game from like ticks or so. Like for example, for Myth, I think another good example will probably be, I don't have it here, but it basically allows spells like Supernova or like Mana Burn for balance to become even more usable. They are usable before turn-based, but they're likely to become a lot more usable now during this turn-based PvP meta. And like basically it just allows more controlling in the game. It allows utility spells to become a little bit more useful than they normally would. And I actually really do like that about turn-based PvP. It allows certain spells to become more usable, like Shift, like Mana Burn, like Supernova, like maybe like the Ice Cooldown one, which is actually pretty useful now. Number 4, spamming basically is limited, and this is a huge thing. Spamming is a huge thing. Spamming can literally give you such an advantage if you're first, but since turn-based PvP comes in, it basically doesn't allow spamming to give such a huge advantage to, you know, a certain team or a certain player, because like for example, like the Lore Master spam, that gives such a huge advantage to balance if you're first, because really, how are you going to counter it? Especially during a max level PvP when you can just spam lore and then all of a sudden you go with the 4-pip balanced shadow hit spell. Yeah, it does tons of damage while just like literally doing nothing, thinking of strategy. You're just basically spamming and then finishing it off with a 4-pip spell. There's no strategy in that. So basically, in ways, it could give a little bit more of a healthy strategy, having spams not become as usable as they once were during the normal PvP standards. So I do like that about turn-based PvP as well. So now that I talked about what I like, let's talk about what I don't like about turn-based PvP, because there is a good amount of things that I don't like about it. Again, nothing's perfect in this world, not even in games. There's no such thing as perfect. So there's always going to be, like, you know, something you're not going to like about it. There's going to be something you like about it. There's going to be something you don't like about it. And these are my opinions. If you guys want to, like, you know, talk about your opinions, leave it in the comments below. But these are just my opinions only, so just bear with me. So the first thing I don't like about turn-based PvP is that it takes too long. Now, yes, I get it. Some PvPs do take a long time, but this one in particular does take a little bit longer. Even though they did cut down the time from 30 seconds to 20 seconds, it still seems a little bit too long to actually like make certain moves. And with Jason, for example, they can even prolong the match even easier with the fact that, you know, having that first advantage isn't there anymore. So it still makes it, like, you know, a very long type of match to play in. So I don't like the fact that it takes too long to do turn-based PvP. The second thing I don't like about it is that it does give balance a greater potential than anyone else to do well in turn-based. Now, lots of people may agree with me, lots of people may disagree. Balance already has a good advantage in PvP, but with turn-based coming in, balance does seem to have a little bit more of an advantage, because now, since balance is like a very good utility school, lots of utilities can be used in balance's situation, and it could go a lot in their favor. The most popular ones being, you know, Mana Burn and Supernova. And with Mana Burn and Supernova, basically, it scares lots of people, because, like, you know, it goes from one turn to the next. So let's say, like, you know, let's say you go first, and then you use, like, maybe a Fortify, or, like, just Shield. The bounce after that turn can just Mana Burn you easily if you were to gain a Shadow Pip or so, or maybe if you're getting enough pips to do a certain type of spell, they could just easily Mana Burn you and just remove your pips out of the game, and it just kind of makes you put yourself in an awkward situation, because of the fact that the bounce basically is controlling the game and not only doing some easy damage on you, but also making it easier for their team to do even better. Same goes for Supernova, which the fact that, you know, even before then, not many people want to cast auras against balance, but since turn-based comes over, people are not going to want to cast auras against balance at all, because of the fact that, you know, balance has more of a control type in the game. Because, yeah, remember, it's one person's turn first, and then it's the next person. Balance already has the opportunity to control a game. With turn-based, it's even going to an even grander scale because of the fact of spells like Mana Burn or Supernova. Now, is it really that much of a bad thing? I don't think it's really that terrible, because, like, you know, it's just the way it is. Like, balance already has the advantage, but yeah, I don't like the fact that balance has more of a potential to do well in turn-based. Third thing is that shadow spells still technically decide who can win the match, even though turn-based does do, like, you know, this one person after another before, like, a round ends. It's kind of the fact that shadow spells do technically still, like, you know, decide who wins the PvP match. It's still there. Now, I think it's not really that big as it is with turn-based. Like, with turn-based, it's not that big as it is with, like, you know, the normal PvP, because, again, it's that first advantage. But it still kind of decides who wins the PvP. The fifth thing is that it basically removes the strategy. Well, actually, this is the fourth thing, I'm sorry. But fourth is that it's not allowing you to, like, you know, discard your spells during enemy phase. Now, okay, I get it. Like, it could be somewhat of a big advantage to just, like, you know, oh yeah, just, like, discard some spells and draw. But here's what I do want. So, in order to, like, make it a little bit go quicker, I feel like the enemies should at least be allowed to discard their spells. They should just not be allowed to draw until it's actually their turn, because discarding your spells actually helps you a lot. Like, basically, instead of having it being 20 seconds for, like, both players, it's actually more like 40 seconds in total. So that does take longer, and having yourself actually be able to discard during enemy phase actually does help you, because for those who have bad laptops or, like, you know, bad internet like mine, you're not gonna, like, withstand, like, all those 20 seconds. Most likely your turn is going to be over at 16 when it shows like there's only 4 seconds remaining, or maybe even less, or maybe more, depending how bad it is. But I felt like, in my experience, I felt like I was trying to rush a little bit too much when it comes to discarding and drawing, because, you know, you only have 20 seconds, and for me with a bad laptop, like, you know, I only have 16 seconds technically, so it kind of puts me in the iffy situation of, oh, I gotta draw really fast, and if not, then I'm basically messed up. I'm like, it's done for me. I basically then just pass a turn or so. So I don't like about that either. I feel like Hangzao should at least allow you to be able to discard spells during NEB phase, and then afterwards, once it's your turn, you can draw, because it allows, you know, like I said before many times, it allows you to not only make the game go faster, but it also allows you to be a little bit more calm when it comes to, like, you know, just drawing your spells or so. And then number 5, which is the biggest one in my opinion. Now, this is a little bit more controversial. Lots of people say that turn-based PvP makes strategy a lot more efficient. it's a lot better. It's a lot more strategy and turn-based. But in my opinion, I think that the regular PvP that we have today requires a lot more strategy than turn-based PvP. I feel like turn-based PvP is a little bit too easy, and it's still fun, like, don't get me wrong, but it feels a little bit too easy because it removes the strategy of predicting. Predicting is honestly one of the best strategies you can have, because if you have good predicting skills, then you can basically be a very good PvPer, most likely going to Warlord very easier than others. And you know, yeah, some people can say, oh yeah, it's stats and all of that, but really, if you have stats but you don't exactly have good strategy or good predicting skills, then you might have a tougher time, or might not even get to, like, you know, big status like Warlords and all that, or like just be good at PvP at all. This is a very controversial thing, but it is my opinion on it. I feel like, you know, turn-based kind of removes that strategy of predicting, which really just makes PvP a lot more strategic. Now, yes, it does make a healthier strategy. I feel like that's what turn-based really does. It makes healthier strategies, but I feel like still, regular PvP is a lot harder than turn-based, and it's one of those really big disadvantages of turn-based versus regular PvP. But again, that is just my opinion, and a lot of people may not agree with me, but again, it's my opinion and it's what I believe. Alright guys, so that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you guys really did enjoy it, because, you know, I know really wasn't the best video to make, but I did try my best to make it as, you know, analytical and fun as possible. But pretty much, I still think turn-based PvP is a very good, you know, type of PvP to add on to Wizard101. And I feel like it's a really good step forward for KingsIsle through PvP. It still has its negatives that I wish it can fix or so. And I know it's not going to be perfect, but it definitely is still a PvP mode that I honestly would like to have, like a separate mode of it, because it is a lot of fun. It does make a little bit more healthier PvP to come by, and honestly, it's just a very good mode in general. Like, I still like turn-based. I feel like I might do a little bit more turn-based on the channel because it is a lot of fun. And basically, if you guys have your own opinions about turn-based PvP that you would like to share, leave it down in the comments below. Like, I would love to hear your opinions. I'd love to have a discussion with you. And again, just remember, these are all my opinions on turn-based. Like, everyone has a different belief, everyone has a different preference when it comes to PvP in general. So really, like, you know, if you disagree with me, you know, you can always like share your disagreement, but just be nice about it, and, you know, just have like a really good, healthy discussion about it, because I would like to have a discussion with you about, like, you know, what you think about turn-based PvP that might be a lot different from mine. But as always, guys, if you liked the video, leave a like, comment about your opinion on turn-based if you want, so we can have a discussion. And as always, subscribe if you haven't, and stay frenzy. Peace.